Hello and welcome to the third film in our roof covering series. In it, we examine the factors that determine the various layers that go to make up a roof structure. You already know the various elements that make up a pitched roof. The rafters bear the load of the roof. The insulation keeps the interior warm. An interior vapor retarder is needed to regulate moisture diffusion, and ceiling cladding may also be required. A ventilated layer of sarking carries away any water that has penetrated the roof covering. The roof tiles sit on a substructure of wooden battens. The thickness of the structure as a whole depends largely on whether or not the rafters are to be visible inside the building. If they are to be concealed, then the insulating material can be fitted between the rafters so that both rafters and insulation occupy the same space. Aligning these two elements results in a smaller overall roof thickness. In contrast, the total thickness is considerably greater if the rafters are to be exposed. Cladding, vapor retarder and insulation are then fitted above the rafters so that each layer occupies its own space, adding to the total thickness. The consequences of this decision on the rest of the roof frame and the design of the eaves is something we will come back to later. The choice of roof covering material also affects the structure of the roof construction. Clay and concrete roof tiles are laid on battening. The tiles are laid on the main battens, while counter battens placed on the rafters secure the main battens in place and create an air gap between the roof covering and the sarking. The sarking foil is the only element that ensures the system is closed. A metal roof covering made of thin sheet metal, on the other hand, has to be laid on a sheathing layer of wooden planks or wood composite boards. This makes it impossible to create an air gap under the roof covering. In this case, a waterproof layer is fitted to prevent water from passing through the metal roof covering and penetrating the fabric of the roof. The presence of this air gap depends not only on the nature of the roof covering, but also on the height of the rafters and the thickness of the insulating material. While roof coverings laid on a sheathing layer generally have no air gap, a tiled roof always requires ventilation above the sarking. If the insulating layer is thicker than the height of the rafters, the only option is on-roof insulation. In the opposite case, an additional air layer can be provided between the insulation and the sarking. Summary: a pitched roof consists of the rafters that bear the load of the roof, the insulation that keeps the interior warm, an interior vapor retarder to regulate moisture diffusion, and ceiling cladding where required. A ventilated layer of sarking carries away any water that penetrates the roof covering. The roof tiles sit on a substructure of wooden battens. The thickness of the structure as a whole depends, firstly, on whether the rafters are to be exposed, and secondly, on the type of roof covering chosen. We recommend that you go on to watch the fourth film in our roof coverings series, in which we consider how tiles are laid at the ridge, hips and valleys of a roof.